Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Art and Recap. I'm your artist Faye, and today we are reading chapter 203 till 207 of Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 203, Mutant. Okay, so Klein received a letter from Mr. Asic, right, regarding Captain Dun's really odd cannibalistic behavior. And in this letter, Mr. Asic basically explains that Captain Dun's may or may not be a vampire or a mutant. Okay, so here's the thing. There are natural vampires in Lord of the Mysteries. They were, however, on the verge of extinction before the dragons and the giants bowed out of the stage of world history. But later on, they may still be around. And then there is also a potion that is called a vampire. And Mr. Asic actually thinks that the captain may or may not have accidentally drank that potion, because apparently if somebody mistakenly consumes or mixes two potions of different pathways together, they can enter into a half insane state. So it all depends on, if Mr. Asic, well, not Mr. Asic, if Captain Dunes is in a half insane state right now. He also explains how certain potions can be interchanged with each other, kind of like the Corpse Collector and the Sleepless Pathway. At a higher level, they can be interchanged. Klein remembered something he read in Emperor Rosel's diary, and that the Evernight Church and the God of Combat are mortal enemies. Might it be because their potions are interchangeable at a higher sequence, and that's why they're beefing with each other? And you know what, I think that's actually possible. Anyway, Klein thinks that aside from his memory problems, Captain Dunes is actually pretty sane. He's not doing any strange stuff in Klein's opinion, so he definitely is not a vampire. So then Mr. Asic explains what a mutant is. Basically, a mutant is not necessarily one single creature. It's like an overall term for a certain not certain, but it's an overall term for a lot of different creatures, basically, that has like a similar characteristics. Oh my god, I can't speak. That has similar characteristics to each other. He gives an example with werewolves, and I was like, you know what? Werewolves and vampires, good old rivalry. We cannot have them. We cannot have one without the other. Anyways, he explains that mutants are like normal humans, except that there is something that triggers their animalistic instincts, kind of like how a werewolf gets triggered by the full moon. So he explains it something like that. So Mr. Asic then tells him, like, I cannot tell you in confidence that this is the case for your captain because I don't know him personally. What I suggest you do, Klein, is to report your superior, aka Captain Dunes, to his superior, aka the church, or HR in that case. Well, technically, Dali is kind of like the superior of Dunes, right? She's like a rank higher than him. So he technically already reported Captain Dunes to Dali, so he's only waiting for her reply now. And then Klein went to sleep, and in his sleep he actually started dreaming, and in his dream he saw Captain Dunes, and Captain was like, hey yo, Leonard found a clue about Lanivus, so I need you to go to him before you go to work, right? Go directly to him, you don't have to stop by at the Zutaland Street. So Leonard was waiting for Klein at Hoe Street, and Klein was like, oh, Hoe Street, I haven't heard of that in ages, because that's where the Divination Club it's still there, it still exists. I'm just like saying was because Klein hasn't been there in ages, and that's where his friend who died lived. I forgot the name. What was the name again? Welch, his classmate Welch, lived there, and also a member of the Aurora Order lived there. So he's like, that is a lot of coincidences. How very odd. Anyway, he goes there and sees Leonard waiting for him, and he said that Leonard Mitchell, whose hair exuded beauty. I was like, oh, Klein, thank you for noticing how beautiful Leonard is. I wouldn't have guessed. Anyway, after checking him out, Leonard tells him this might be the building rented by Lanivus under a false name. And Klein was like, wait, how did you figure that out? And Leonard tells him, like, well, since you found out a clue from Hood Eugene, and suspected that they might be connected to each other, I actually changed my train of thought when I was investigating Lanivus. I thought, hey, maybe I should actually check into the Aurora Order, and then found out about this house. Anyway, Leonard confirmed that Lanivus actually stayed in this building because he was showing around a picture of Lanivus and recognized Lanivus. He had different glasses then. Okay, so after the explanation, Klein actually divined if there was anything of note, like if there's a hidden compartment or a hidden room, whatever, inside the rented apartment that Lanivus had, and the answer was yes, there is something hidden over there. So Leonard and Klein searched through the studies, and Klein found out, with divination again, that there is something on one of the bookshelves. And they found a letter from Lanivus over there where he was going full Kira on them, basically congratulating them for finding his letter and that they're not completely useless after all. And he is hinting at the fact that he hid a bomb within Tingen, and that it's going to only get stronger and stronger until it wipes Tingen off the map. Chapter 204, Visitor. Leonard and Klein looked at each other and was like, damn, this guy Lanivus, this bitch crazy. And they're like, what could possibly be a bomb that grows stronger as time goes on? And Klein was like, it can't possibly be a literal bomb. Maybe he actually means, something that's related to mysticism. Maybe it's an evil ritual. And Leonard looks over to the side. He cocks his head as if he's listening to someone else. the evil voice in his head. And he's like, you know what, that is actually possible. Especially if the resentment of the factory workers are being used as fuel to, power up this bomb. Klein was like, oh my god, we need to report this to the captain instantly, and also we should probably report this to the church, like ask them for help, because we need a mysticism expert, an actual expert, to try and find where that bomb is located, right? And Leonard is like, you know what, hold your horses. We don't know if this is true because Lanivus is a swindler. He could be messing with us, And Klein was like, yeah, I know, but still, better safe than sorry, right? The two head back to the office, and on their way back, Klein couldn't help but think, okay, I can see the connection between everything here going on. Like, I'm starting to put the dots together. But I am still confused on why Lanivus would need Hood Eugene's help. Like, what does he need him for, right? So they enter the Nighthawk office, the bureau, their front office basically, and they see two people there waiting for them, and they were Maynard's wife and the sister, the one who hired Klein basically to stalk Madame Sharon, right? And they're very happy with the result because the result ended up with Sharon dead. So they're like, oh, you guys are the creme of the crop for sure. Not only did you guys show that Madame Sharon is a crazy bitch, you actually had her killed. We are very happy about this. So they gave Klein a lot of money, and Klein gave it to Roseanne so that Roseanne can give it to the other woman that works for them, that's like responsible for their finances. So Klein and Leonard actually head off to Captain Dunce's office to report, and while they were reporting, we actually have like this slight sentence about his receding hairline. And when I read it, I was like, god damn, it's been ages. I noticed this. I noticed these little weird things, but it's been ages since Klein mentioned Captain Dunce's receding hairline. And you know what I realized is that when Klein started trusting, being more comfortable with Captain Dunce, he stopped pointing out his receding hairline, especially when that moment about Captain Dunce saving him, and he's like, oh, Captain Dunce, you are so handsome in this moment. That's when I feel like it stopped, like he stopped completely noticing it. But now that he distrusts Captain Dunce again because of, the whole cannibalism shenanigan with Kenley, he is like, Okay, a receding hairline is back. I'm sorry, Captain, I cannot ignore your receding hairline again. I'm sorry. Anyway, after Captain agrees to contact the Holy Cathedral, to ask them for help to send over a mysticism expert, because you know what, they've been trying to get a mysticism expert or like some sort of other mysticism expert, like another replacement for old Neil, basically, from the Holy Cathedral for ages now, and they've been procrastinating this shit the whole time, you know. And anyway, that's besides the point. Leonard and Klein goes out of the captain's office to go back to the reception hall, and they were like, just chilling. And then this pregnant lady enters, and he's like, "Who is this lady? I feel like I've seen her before." And it wasn't until Leonard whispered, "Oh, Miss Migos, whatever, however you pronounce her name, Migose." Oh, that's when Klein remembers that she's actually the one that Lanivus swindled, and put the child in her. So he's like, "You know what? I actually have forgotten to, check on her mental well-being the last time we saw each other at the divination club, because she went there with her aunt, I think, if I remember correctly. And her aunt wanted him to use her baby to find where the fuck Lanivus is, because again, he scammed them." So he's like, "Okay, maybe it's a good time to actually check on her mental health right now, right?" So he was about to actually turn on his spirit vision, but his instincts, his clown instincts, was like screaming in his head that, "Nope, don't look, don't. If you look, you die. Do not look at this woman, Klein Moretti." So he's like, "What the fuck just happened over there?" And he realized the reason why he didn't look into her mental health when they first met was because his seer ability was subconsciously telling him not to do it and made it slip his mind. Otherwise, he would have been dead by now. But his clown potion, because he, of course, digested the seer potion and now he's a clown, it's a more powerful person. It's a lot louder in warning him of the dangers of what's going to come. So he's like, "Oh shit, we are about to have the bomb. Like, this is the bomb. This is Lanivus's bomb. What the fuck?" He looks over to his side and realizes that Leonard is covered in cold sweat. He also figured out that Migos is the bomb. Like, her baby is the bomb. She is harboring it. And the reason why the bomb is growing stronger and stronger as time goes on is because she's preggers. She's like 7 months pregnant now, is what it says here. Well, Klein says she looks like she's 7 months pregnant, so it's possible that she's actually already 9 months pregnant, right? She just looks like it's 7. Klein also remembers a passage in Emperor Rosel's diary, and it was, "I started the Industrial Revolution with my own hands and personally ushered in the age of steam and machinery, but this will only become the hotbed for the descent of an evil god upon this world." And as he remembered that, he was also thinking that ain't no way that Lanivus planned all of this out, and that he used Hood Eugene to, pretty much manipulate Migos into becoming the vessel of this evil god. Like, ain't no way that what she has in her stomach is an actual evil god that's been eating all of the resentment from the factory workers. Ain't no way, right? But the warning blaring in his head from his clown potion that says, "Do not look directly at God," is ringing in his head. It's like, it's just highly possible. It's too possible. Chapter 205, Urgent Arrangement. Okay, so Klein reached out into his pocket instinctively after realizing what's going on, and he touched the flaring sun charm and also Mr. Asik's whistle to give himself some sort of comfort, right? And he realized something. Mr. Asik's whistle, there was something wrong with it. It felt like some sort of higher power was suppressing it, but the same cannot be the same with the flaring sun charm. And I think that's because the thing he's fighting against is like a dark creature that can suppress Mr. Asik. But the flaring sun charm is, again, the sunlight, goodness, yada yada yada, yin yang kind of bullshit. I wouldn't say yin yang is bullshit. I actually love the concept of yin yang, but you know what I mean, right? So he touches that and realizes that, and then he looks over to Leonard and realizes that Leonard also realizes what he saw, right? And he looked over to Migos and signified through that look alone that Leonard should entertain her. And he then turned over to Migos and asked, "Hey, do you want coffee, black tea, or nothing at all?" Like, because he's a good good host. I was about to say he's a good guest giver, and I was like, what the fuck is a guest giver? So I had to stop myself from saying that, and was like, oh yeah, the word that I'm searching for is actually host. So anyway, he's a good host. He asked her if she wanted any of those drinks, and she's like, you know what, a cup of warm water would be good. I suddenly feel like I should be chatting with you guys. I have a feeling that you guys know a lot about Lanivus. And Leonard was like super sus at her and was like, who told you that? Like, he's not being his cheerful, poetic self right now. He's a very serious man right now. So he's like, who told you that? And she's like, my child told me. He knows a lot. He's very smart. And Klein was like, oh fuck, the thing is still talking to her. She's still crazy. And so he's like, okay, Leonard, why don't you, entertain our guest over here? So Leonard just does just that. He chats up with her. He chats her up. He chats up with her. He chats her up. And Klein, in turn, goes to Captain Din's office and reports what's going on to him. After their short TLDR session, Captain told Klein to go notify the people that are working for them that has no combat capabilities to evacuate, because this is gonna be hella dangerous. And Klein was like, okay. And Captain said, okay, and while you do that, I am going to go to the Chinese gate and also send a telegram to the church to send over backup, because we don't know how dangerous this bomb could be, right? And Lanivus is absolutely fucking insane. So while he does that, Klein was also telling him, Captain, you know what? I am also a little bit sussing out what's going on. Like, all of the coincidences about the red, the building with the red chimney, how we found the Antigonus family notebook and stuff like that. I find it very suspicious. Like, all of the timing, how everything is lining up. I think it might be related to the mastermind that's been messing around with my, fate kind of stuff and puppeteering everything in the background. Because he was thinking, why the hell would someone like Madame Sharon, who didn't have a reason to kill Maynard, decide to kill Maynard unless she was prompted to do it, right? Like, she was tempted or she was blackmailed, whatever. She was told to do that, and she did, and it was her demise. So that is suspicious, because Madame Sharon is a lot smarter than she looks. She is an actress. She is a shrewd woman. So again, it is odd, and she had nothing to gain from actually killing Maynard, right? So while he told that to the captain was like, yes, I understand your reasonings. I am also going to mention that into my telegram. Okay. While they were chatting about that, Klein also suggested that the captain ask for backup from the mandated Punishers and the Machinery Hive Mind, especially the mandated Punishers, because they were originally the ones responsible for Lanivus's case. And then Klein suddenly realized something. Hey, is it actually possible to ask the mandated Punishers if the person that lost control was, following or protecting or doing whatever, tracking Miss Migos, and she's the reason he actually lost control? And the captain looks at him and is like, I actually know this already. We don't have to ask the mandated Punishers about this. But yes, he was actually tasked to follow her around, because again, she is wife. Well, is she the wife of Lanivus? I don't think they ever married, right? She does have Lanivus's baby, and she is, connected to him. So she was a person of interest. Yeah, so Klein's like, shit, so this baby can basically corrupt any Beyonder near it for an extended amount of time. Okay, so after Klein informed the clerks to evacuate, he came back out with the glass of warm water for Migos to drink, and he leaned down towards Leonard and whispered in his ear to, keep her company and distract her, basically. And when I read that, that he leaned down to whisper in his ears, I was like, the fangirl in me just went, So anyway, Klein heads back to the hallway to meet up with Captain Dunes, and Captain Dunes was already holding Saint Selena's ashes. And then he tells Klein, "Hey, Sika, who is guarding the Chinese gate, and also the keepers, they cannot get out of the Chinese gate now that I've taken Saint Selena's ashes. I need you to get in there and also get a weapon for yourself, because this could get extremely dangerous." And Klein was like, "Okay, thank you, I will do just that." And by the way, if you guys are wondering where Royale and Kenley were, not Kenley, Kenley is dead, where Royale and Freya were, they were actually at Kenley's funeral. They're like helping prepare his funeral, basically. So that's why they are not at the office right now. And so Klein goes to the Chinese gate and meets up with Royale, not Royale, Sika. But before that, on his way, he actually felt that Mr. Asik's whistle started feeling normal again. So he wrote a quick note to Mr. Asik and told him, "Hey, Mr. Asik, shit's about to go down here. I think the mastermind that took your son's skull and also who is messing up with my fate is going to come soon. He's going to show himself soon. So yeah, I would definitely appreciate your help," basically is what he's trying to say here. So then he sent that letter to Mr. Asik via the skeleton mail, and then he went on to meet up with Sika and tell her that he needs a weapon. Chapter 206, Grade 2 Sealed Artifacts. So on his way to the Chinese gate, Klein was debating which artifact he should be taking with him. The Nighthawks only possesses 3 Grade 2 sealed artifacts, and one of them is a poison cup, basically, that kills anyone that drinks out of it. And the other is a door to death, is what it's described. And this is the funniest thing ever when I read this, that the door to death is kind of somehow sentient in some sort of way and is trying to escape the Chinese gate all the goddamn time. And when I read that, I couldn't help but imagine the door, like a literal door, running around in like a seesaw manner around the Chinese gate to get out of it. I don't know why, but I found it so funny, guys. I was like, oh my god, this is a serious moment. Faye, focus. But so that was one of the 3, the poison cup and also the door to death. And the other one is a blood vessel thief. So basically the blood vessel thief the blood vessel thief can basically steal some of your life. Like someone once tested it. He was like a young, very powerful man, basically, and a couple minutes later, like 10 minutes later, he became an old guy, because the blood vessel thief, it kind of steals their life force from my understanding. But also its other effect is that it can steal other people's powers and let the other person copy it for a certain amount of time, for like 10 minutes if I remember correctly. But then the person whose powers were stolen, they wouldn't be able to use their powers for weeks at a time. So it was a very useful tool, and it's actually the one that Klein chose to take with him. And he's like, I'm not gonna use it because, it's, first of all, dangerous, and second of all, Leonard is going to use it. I'm gonna give it to Leonard because I already have the sun charm, and the sun charm is like equivalent to a sealed 2 artifact in his head anyway. But I'm pretty sure it's a lot more powerful than that because it is made with the blood of a god. So yeah. Also, when he was thinking of giving Leonard the sealed artifact, he was thinking, my dear poet, it's time for you to show your true secret. And when I read it, I was like, your dear poet? Your possessive much, Klein? Anyway, when it was mentioned that, the sealed artifact that he was taking was a blood vessel, I was thinking, an actual blood vessel, the ones in like commercials that has like blood vessels rushing through your body, the circular one that looks kind of fluffy with like the indent in the middle. That's what I was picturing, like a huge fucking blood vessel that he's holding with his hands. And he'll hand over to Leonard. But I'm pretty sure that's actually not the case. At least I don't remember that being the case in the donghua, because if Klein was holding something like that and gave it to Leonard during the fight in the donghua, I would have been like, what the fuck is that? Is that a goddamn blood vessel? Why does he have a blood vessel on him? Yeah, and like a giant blood vessel too. So yeah, I don't think it actually looks like that. So anyway, we're getting distracted again. So Klein heads over to the Chinese gate to meet with Sikatron and tells her that he wants that sealed artifact. And she's like, Klein, why don't you guard the Chinese gate in my stead and I go up to fight in your stead, because I am much more experienced in combat than you. And Klein was like, yeah, I mean, that may be the case, but actually it would be much more dangerous for me if I were in the Chinese gate now that the captain has taken Saint Selena's ashes out of it. No, don't you think so? And she's like, you do make a fair point. So I guess good luck. Try not to die. Anyway, Klein heads back up and meets up with Captain Dunes, who was, leaning his back on the wall and waiting for Leonard to, signify that it's dangerous or whatnot, and that they should move in and kill Migos there and then or something like that. So he was waiting there. Klein waited with him and also told him which artifact he chose to get, and that he's planning to give it to Leonard to use. So Captain was like, okay, that's good. And then he's like, oh wait, I forgot something. Oh, silly me, of course I forgot something. And he turns over to Klein and was like, Dali told me to tell you what exactly is happening. Like, I should explain myself to you. And Klein was like, Miss Dali, oh, I know. Okay, so that's the reason why she hasn't replied yet, because she wants Captain to face me himself and explain why he was being such a cannibal towards Kenley earlier, right? So that is how chapter 206 ends. Before we start chapter 207, I actually wanted to ask something, guys. I was wondering if you guys like the new layout. Instead of, gameplay on the side that I am playing, where Winds Meet usually, there is now a slideshow of my finished artworks that I've done. I was wondering if you guys would prefer this one here, or if I should go back to, where Winds Meet. Because I don't know, guys. It's just I'm experimenting a little bit with this content, because I feel like a lot of people don't know what my finished art looks like half the time. So I was thinking, hey, how about I show it off a little bit, So yeah, this is basically my solution. So tell me if it's okay, if you guys don't like it, and I should go back to showing off my gameplay, my OP gameplay. Chapter 207, Guardian. Okay, Captain Dunes finally is telling Klein over here why he cannibalized Kenley. Basically, he says that there might be a law in mysticism, even though he is not 100% sure that it's actually a thing. This is mostly kind of like a theory, right? It's law of beyonder characteristics, indestructibility. And because of that, it states here that characteristics of a beyonder is never destroyed or reduced. It's only passed on from one carrier to the next. So that means that people, basically, they themselves become like a potion. It's like they drop loot, but not in the same sense as, the Beyonders that lost control. The Beyonders that lost control, their body can be used for potions. But these Beyonders who didn't lose control, their power still stays inside their corpse, from what I understood. The more the captain explained the whole shenanigan with the Beyonder potions and stuff like that, the more Klein realized that this is the reason why, even though there's the Beyonder main ingredients, some of them are going to go extinct soon, that the Beyonder chain, the sequence chain, will never be broken as long as there are enough Beyonders out there that can cannibalize each other. Which, is sick. Sick not in the cool sense, but sick as in the ugh sense. Because cannibalism, ew. Klein also realizes that this is the reason why the church actually gives out the potion, like the complete potion, not the potion recipe, towards Beyonders that are of a higher sequence. That's because they want to keep the potion to themselves in case the Beyonder dies and someone, with very skilled mysticism knowledge or ritualistic magic knowledge gets their hands on that Beyonder and basically summons their spirits and get the information out of them. They don't want that. That's not something that you would actually want, right? This is basically what Klein did to Madame Sharon. I don't actually know if he got the recipe for the higher sequence potion for the demoness sect, but he certainly definitely got the lower sequence ones. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure about that. A couple years ago, Captain Duns realized what was happening, and he mentioned that to the church, and the church was like, you know what, we're going to give you two options. You either shut the fuck up, or we're gonna give you this ritual that will help you become more powerful. The captain chose the second option, not because he wanted power, but because he wanted his members, his teammates to still be with him even though they're dead. They are still fighting alongside him, basically, is what his reasoning is. And because they are of the same pathway, they basically gives him buffs. And that is the reason why he dared to face Madame Sharon, even though she's like a higher sequence than him. He is on an equivalent towards her when it comes to power. And because he's doing this, it's basically fucking up with his progress with the acting method, because it's like it's not going well. It's like blocking each other skill wise, because imagine if you knew the acting method and you progress so quickly as a Beyonder with the acting method, and you also knew the ritual necessary to, consume other Beyonders. You're just going to be hella fucking broken. So it's like a balance of things that Cuttlefish made there, so that, people wouldn't assume that Klein will start eating people just to gain more power, or that there are Beyonders out there that are of lower sequence that are also hella powerful, that used to level up with the acting method, and then this. Yeah. And Captain then describes all the people that he consumed, all of the partner Beyonders that he ate, which were Kenley, Adelaide, some other dudes. Like, there were 5 people, I think. And he was saying that he would have actually eaten Old Neil too, even though he's not really, part of the sequence chain that he has, because Old Neil is like a different Beyonder pathway, has a different Beyonder pathway. He would have consumed Old Neil too, but he lost control, so that is a big no-no. You don't want to eat a person that lost control. And he was actually saying that this is a selfish decision because he didn't know what the others' true wishes were. If they actually wanted to be eaten by him, which is, it's non-consensual cannibalism, man. That's a big no-no. And Klein just shook his head no, and I was like, what do you mean no, Klein? This is a bad thing. Just because he's the captain and you know him and you sympathizes with him, it doesn't mean that what he's doing isn't wrong. The other people, the other party didn't consent to being eaten by him. They were dead. Okay? I know I'm putting the captain in a very negative light over here. I'm very well aware of that, and that he's probably, I don't know, a fan favorite. I don't really give a fuck about that, okay? What I'm trying to say here is that what he's doing, fucking messed up, okay? And yeah, I'm just like, the captain is low-key insane. While Klein and the captain were chatting behind the door or around the hallways, whatever, Leonard was having a grand old time with Megose, because Megose is just tearing up pieces of her hair, and she's like in distress. She's pulling chunks of her hair, scratching off parts of her skin to the point that it terrified Leonard, that she pulled out a huge chunk of her skin that you can even see like the teeth from her jawline, and she's like, I am so itchy, dude. I was like, do you have fleas, girly pop? That's not good. That's not good for the baby. Anyway, Leonard is like so messed up seeing her, tear out pieces of her flesh, like her face, and he's like, madam, if you might excuse me, I need to go to the loo. So he rushes over to where Captain and Klein was and was like, guys, I don't think I can handle this anymore. We need to do something. That lady, she's fucking crazy. And then Leonard sees that Klein was holding this large blood vessel thing and was like, oh, is that sealed artifact 2105? Let me use it. I can better utilize its abilities. And Klein's just like, yeah, okay, here you go. He didn't tell Leonard that he wanted to give it to him in the first place. He's just like, here, fucking get it. So the captain heads out over to stop Migos from giving birth to the demon spawn. And he's like, don't worry about me, guys. Adelaide, Dwayne, Hita, and Kenley, they're all fighting alongside me no matter what kind of danger I face. I am not alone. Oh yeah, before I end this chapter, let me tell you guys something that I forgot to mention in the middle of this while I was saying it. One thing that Captain mentioned before is that he actually dreams of the people he ate before and that they're doing stuff that they usually do, like, I don't know, write novels, this and that, whatever. And while he was saying that, I was thinking, Captain, I don't think you're of sound mind anymore. You're kind of crazy. It feels like he's starting to have multiple personality disorders, or that the guilt of eating them is also eating at him, and it's reflecting to his dreams, even though his dreams are like normal, good dreams and not nightmares. It's still kind of messed up, And that is it for this video. I really hope you guys like it. Please subscribe. Oh, before I actually do my outro, I wanted to tell you guys something about this artwork. Basically, this artwork is kind of like a fan art, but not really, because it is a character from Where Winds Meet. It's my character from Where Winds Meet. I just really love the color of the dress when I dyed it, and I was like, you know what? This deserves an artwork. This deserves an illustration. So that's what I did. I illustrated her, and I am so proud of this artwork. It's one of my best artwork that I've ever done so far, I think. And yeah, I'm very happy about it. I'm so glad about it. I'm so happy that I actually tried to, start experimenting more with colors and this and that. And yeah, I am so happy. And again, I wanted to know about, what your thoughts are about the new layout, if I should bring back the video, the gaming video on the side, or if you guys are just okay with the slideshow as you see in this video. Anyways, what do you guys think of this episode? Before I go, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It helps my channel out a lot. My commissions are open and my Vision link is down in the description below. Check out my story Dreaming of Aurora if you have the time. And finally, thanks to my patrons, Robek, Vanarik, and J. Voljevelitska for the support. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!